Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 days, let's watch.
Go back knowing things are so unsettled with us. But he's got to do something like romantic and big and prove to me that he loves me. If Usman doesn't prove this to me this time...
Yikes. So, okay. She is hurt that he lied by omission, that the song that he was releasing and the video he was shooting was about his ex-girlfriend. And she's not mentioning the hurt that I think one would feel having been lied to, that he was with another woman. Well, so maybe for her, it's hard to know the timeline, because on one hand, so anyway, let's start over. So Usman tells Kim, I was involved while we were talking, you and me, Kim, but in the beginning of our talking relationship, I had a girlfriend that I was in love with named Zara, and I wrote a song about her. And by the time we had broken up and you and I started to ramp up our romantic talk online, I didn't want to tell you that the song was about a real person because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I mean, he didn't say that, but he was essentially saying that. And now that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm going to come clean with you on that. And there are two issues there. One is that he didn't tell her that he had a girlfriend, and even though Kim and Usman might have been friends at the time, you still would mention that, right? The other thing is that he didn't tell her that the song was about her. Okay, so for Kim, she's upset about that. Do we believe that Usman is some kind of player, that he is playing Kim? I don't know. It's hard to get a understanding of what's going on in his heart. If we just take his behavior, I think that he cares about her, wants to be with her forever. I mean, that's his behavior. And when she's upset with him, he seems legitimately upset about it, right? Anyway, so now she's saying, you know, as often is the case, there's a way for him to win her back. Meaning, often is the case, meaning that in life and on the show, we have a reaction. We might even say we're done, and then later when we start thinking about it, we're like, well, it wasn't great that it happened, but I think this relationship is still worth salvaging or something. I think there's a part of her that's saying that. All that is normal, all that's fine. But the part of it that I'm yikesing to is that she's saying he better have some grandiose big gesture of love for me, or else I'm not going to take him back. Which, on one hand, if that's her love language, then I guess that's her love language, and I guess that would tie into her being attracted to him because he's some kind of a rock star, music artist star. So big gestures might be kind of in her thing. But I would hope that y'all out there don't rely or put a lot on those kind of gestures. Anyone can, I mean, gestures do mean something, but I find that this show, including like Darcy and Stacey, put a lot of emphasis on these shows, on the shows of affection. You know, there's always the strawberries and the chocolate and the rose petals, and that's great. It's fine. It's the way you're expressing yourself to another person. It's absolutely a part of a lot of people's way of expressing and receiving love. Makes total sense. But to say that, look, I don't need him to understand me. I don't need an apology. I don't need to find out if this is going to happen again. I don't need to have intimacy or understanding between the two of us. I just need him to have some grand gesture, and then all will be forgiven. When I say it like that, I mean, it starts to look more in line with, she's not in her heart really dating a human being, a three-dimensional, regular, down-to-earth human being. She's dating someone who is on stage, and her relation to him is because he's on stage. And if he's going to express his love as if he's on stage, maybe putting me on stage, then I will forgive him.
I'm going to be so hurt. Because it's going to show to me, it's going to show like he just didn't even love me at all, you know? Because you can say you love somebody, but you have to be in love with that person, and I'm in love with him. And he needs to prove it this time.
Yeah, I mean, her hurt makes sense to me. I think anyone in her position would be skeptical, would be hurt, would be sad, would be worried. But to say he must have a grand gesture is, I think, telling. So where does she get this from? Because I think a more rational approach or expectation is, well, it's going to take some time, but if I see that he does love me and does care and does empathize and does tell me the truth, that I don't find out about any more lies, then I will know. So what does this say? Well, it's possible that for Kim, she doesn't actually think that could happen. She doesn't trust that ongoing dedication and loyalty is possible, and so she just gives up on that hope and goes down the ladder and says, well, if he will, and people will do this. So I don't know, but where did she get this model of love from? Did she have a parent, a father, her first boyfriend who rejected her but was on stage somehow? I don't know. So it's an interesting way of looking at things, right? But people will do this, that when we can't get the love that we want, we will settle for a second place for that. Of, like for some kids, when they're not getting love and affection from their parents, they will accept gifts as, at least, I mean, it's not really what they want, right? That what they want is love and attention and attunement. But since they're not getting that, they're like, well, at least I'm getting a gift. And then it kind of locks in that gifts mean love. And then you might retain that into adulthood, where you don't actually look for true love and true intimacy and attunement because you don't think it's going to happen. Plus, you're not used to that. But you will focus on gifts. And so you might say, you haven't bought me anything lately. You got to buy me things. And I wonder if that's what we're seeing here.
No. So I did a lot of thinking yesterday. I feel like everything's just been just bull, honestly.
Why do you say that?
Why would you bring me down here to shoot a video about another woman?
She is asking the heart of the matter, the question, which is, do you actually love me? Or is this some big game? And let's see what he says.
I feel like this whole trip was very, very deceptive. I didn't know we weren't going to kiss. I didn't know we weren't going to have sex. I didn't know I was going to have to beg to get you in my room.
We had.
We did.
Okay.
After a week of being here. We should be progressed so much more now than what we are.
Yeah, so she is upset expressing that, but that she still holds to this notion that he is supposed to have sex. There's, throughout this whole thing, I've been saying there's something wrong with her saying, oh, I thought we were way more intimate than you're saying. From what you're saying is we're building up to boyfriend, girlfriend. But I kind of felt, we never talked about that explicitly, but I thought we were boyfriend, girlfriend before I even came here. And so it hurts. And when you say you don't want to kiss me, you don't want to have sex with me, it alerts me to the fact that you don't think our relationship has gone down that road, which hurts my feelings and also makes me worried that we'll never get there, because I'm already there and I thought you were there too. I don't want to pressure you to have sex with me or to kiss me. I want you to do that when you want to do it. But I just want to tell you, okay, that would have been fine, but that's not what she says. It's a language and a place of, I don't want to say entitlement, but this well, I'm angry at you because you didn't have sex with me as soon as we landed. Even though he did eventually have sex with her, and it's interesting to get a timeline a week into it, which it's like, is that okay with you that it was a week into it? And he was pretty clear about well, our relationship I'm not, Now, he doesn't do her any favors by maybe giving a little bit more background. He could have said something like, well, he kind of did, right? He's like, I've been through some stuff in the past, and so I just want to make sure that before I take it to the next level, that you're not like the previous women that I've been with. And then when she did, I think sort of, then he said, okay, let's move forward. Anyway, but you just hear the way she talks about it. It's very, I don't think she's an evil person. I don't think she's some sort of creeper. I don't think she's grooming him. I don't think she's abusive, really. Where does this come from? I think she's so desperate. It's similar to, I often will do this, and I find it helpful, and I don't know if it's helpful for y'all, but it's helpful for me, that to compare to different developmental stages. So when you're a teenager, and we don't always graduate from developmental stages, or we retain certain elements of an earlier developmental stage, and stage models aren't always accurate, and there's some problems with it. Like the whole 5 stages of grief is not supported by empirical science. Some people go through those 5 stages, but it's anything but universal. But anyway, point is that when you're a teenager, you sometimes feel quite entitled as a teenager. And that's okay, because you're young, you haven't figured out how the world doesn't revolve around you yet. Some teenagers do understand that, many don't, most don't. You're still operating from a place of childishness and immaturity, yet you have all the desires of an adult. You want to be respected. You want perhaps intimacy and relationships and that kind of thing. Anyway, so you're still figuring out where you fit in that equation. You're mainly operating from your own desire. I want that person. I want them to love me. And often haven't learned that you have to consider what the other person wants and how the other person feels about that. So when we have traumas during that time, or we're not allowed for various reasons to experience that in its entirety, to learn that our feelings aren't the only thing that guides us, that we have to consider how other people feel about it, then we might operate from that place even late in life. If you were traumatized, if you had abusive relationships, if like one path, I don't know if this applies to Kim, of course, but one path that I've seen in my clients is if you're traumatized, abused, neglected, all the above growing up, and you're never allowed to figure out who you are or what you want, you kind of just fall into relationships. You might kind of want it, but you're not really involved. You're not really connected with, is this what I want? What do I want out of this relationship? And then you just kind of drift through life. You're a leaf in the wind, and you're trying to get by. You're trying to survive, and you're eking out little moments where your needs are being met, sort of, but not entirely. You get to a certain age, therapy or whatever, and you figure out, oh, wait, I matter. And this is when the teenage stage begins, where it's like, wait, I have feelings, I have desires, what are they? And then they become overwhelming because when we're a teenager, that's what happens to us, but we're expected to be that way when we're a kid. But you could be 51 and have that feeling of just like, whoa, I have needs, this is what I want. And it eclipses what do other people want. Then once you go through that enough, then you go to the next phase, which is I have these wants, which are good and real, and I'm going to respect them and try to meet those needs. But other people have feelings too. And I don't know if that's what we're looking at right now.
Let me see your necklace for a minute. Can you take that off for a second? I just want to see it.
And of course, the idol worship of him would fit neatly into that developmental stage. Teenagers are well known, perhaps even famous, for their idol worship, for having posters of their favorite rock star or whomever on their walls, and for being even a kind of obsessed with that in a way, and that's okay. And eventually you grow out of that. Now, why do teenagers do that? Well, we don't know why we do anything really, but the hypothesis that I have is that when you're a teenager, you start to, not always, but often realize, oh, I'm about to head out into the world. When I was 10, I could kind of live in my little cocoon of my family. And this is for families that have things going well for them, or at least well enough that the kid feels cocooned by their family. Eventually you hit 13, through 17, and you start thinking, whoa, soon I'm going to be heading out into the world, and I kind of want to. And so, but I feel extremely insecure. I have no idea how the world works. Will anyone like me? Will I succeed? I have no idea. And of course, as a parent or someone who cares about your 15-year-old child, you'd be like, you're going to be great. You're so smart. But the 15-year-old doesn't know that. And they're like, yeah, you always say nice things to me, so I can't really trust you. Who knows how I'm going to do? In fact, I fail often, and I'm ashamed of it, And so one of the paths, not all 15-year-olds will take this path of defense, is to glom onto a famous person who seems to have it all figured out. Maybe even someone that seems to be like you in the future. So if you're an Asian, if you're a half Asian 15-year-old boy when you're 15 years old, you might really idolize Sulu from Star Trek or something. I don't know. I'm just talking about myself a little bit. I'm just trying to think, who did I idolize when it was a lot of, musical artists, Depeche Mode, Devo, the Beatles, that kind of thing. And boy, was I obsessed. I mean, absolutely obsessed. Still kind of am to some extent. Anyway, so when you look to those people, like, they have it all figured out. One, they're adults. They seem to know their way around the world, and everyone loves them. Everyone loves them. And so I'm going to love them too. And by osmosis, I will be like them. I'll start dressing like them. I'll consume all of their products, their music or whatever they're doing, their fashion, their attitudes, their political views. And if I'm like them, then I will have what they get, which is universal or, near universal acceptance and love from everyone and confidence. And then, the 15-year-old does a lot of things to get there, not just idolizing an idol, a cultural idol. But eventually you get experience, you venture out into the world, you gain confidence, and you don't need to idolize that person. But you might still like them, you might still respect them or follow them on Instagram or something, but you're not like desperately consuming everything that they are, the way that you are when you're a teenager. I don't know if that's also what we're seeing.
Do you know how much work this took to get me this made?
I don't know.
I had to like go online, find a place that did it. It was sent.
I know how much it was.
Let me finish.
Yikes. Oh my God. Okay, so she is saying, do you know how expensive? Now, if she said, I have put a lot of effort into this relationship and I feel like I'm getting nothing from you, and that really hurts my feelings. Okay, that'd be all right. But my goodness, I spent a lot of money on this. I'm a white American and I spent a lot of money on you, and you better have sex with me, you better kiss me, and you better not lie to me, and you better marry me. Like, yeesh.
It was sent overseas. I get it back, paid extra. I paid I think it was like $45 to get it sent to me like 2 days later, so you'd have it on your birthday. That's thought. How much thought did you put in this trip for me?
Right. So now there's so many cringe-worthy moments with Kim. And I'll say this again, I've said it before, that if she were sitting right here and I were to turn to her and I'd be like, Kim, yikes, I'm pretty sure she would agree with it. I don't think she's the sort of person that would get defensive and say, how dare you? I think she would say, yeah, that does look, I think so. Maybe we'll find out during the tell-all, but it doesn't make it okay. But I think there's a part of her that would understand the criticism, but I don't know.
Nothing? Like a trip? Like nothing?
Wow, that's saying
nothing.
so much.
No, listen. I didn't force you to come. So what?
I'm just saying, I think it was like $45 to get it sent to me like 2 days later, so you'd have it on your birthday. That's thought. How much thought did you put in this trip for me?
Nothing? Like a trip? Like nothing?
Wow, that's saying
nothing.
so much.
No, listen. I didn't force you to come. So what?
I'm just saying, I want you to know that.
So I'm not sure what his answer was, because I'm pretty sure he did put some thought into her coming, and I think he wanted her to be there. So I don't understand why he responded that way. But like I said, there'd be nothing wrong with Kim saying, I feel like I'm putting a lot of effort into this relationship. So here's a little piece of advice. The way that Kim is approaching this is the way that I tell a lot of people not to do, which is, let's say you're operating from this question mark. Does my partner love me? Or does this person I just started dating, how into me are they? Because at first I thought they might be into me, but now I'm wondering they're not that into me. Okay. You make that observation. often what people do is what Kim was doing, is just like they'll start yelling at the Usmans and be like, you need to show more effort, and look how many things I'm doing for this relationship. You're doing nothing. So by extension, you're hoping that the person will be pressured into giving gestures. Now, I guess if you're operating from the place of, I know you do love me, but you're just refusing to show it. You're like selfish. You love me, but you're being selfish about it. Okay. But I think Kim would say, I don't know if he's into me, actually. I think there are some indications that he might not be into me. Okay. Then maybe just calmly ask that question. Like Mike and Jimena. Mike does this actually with Jimena. Mike he won't yell at Jimena. He's just like, hey, do you want to be with me? Do you love me? Do you want to have sex with me? Do you want me to leave? Do you want to break up with me? He's just asking the question, which is much more likely to get at what you're trying to find out. And it's important to know that as early as possible, right? But yeah, so let's just see how the rest of this goes.
Effort and the thought that I put into this. I just don't feel like the love is there for me or from your side. I really don't, and I'm really pissed. In order for me to stay here tonight and not go home, because there are flights, you need to do something big.
Yikes. I mean, she's continuing to go down this road. So she started out fine. She's like, I feel like you're not really into me. I don't feel a lot of indication of love and affection towards me. Okay, yeah, all right. I don't know. I mean, if you just go off Usman's behavior, I don't know if there's a lot of evidence of that, honestly. I think as a viewer, at least for myself, it's like, is this just a game for Usman? Like, I don't understand. But where it's come to this point, I don't, well, who knows? Point is that she's saying, I don't know if you're into me, and I'm really into you, and I've put a lot of effort. I don't feel like there's a lot of effort from you. Yeah, okay, I think that would be fine to observe. It would be fine to be hurt by that. It would be fine to be concerned. But her solution is, I better see a grand gesture. I think Usman is capable of a grand gesture. Does that mean in his heart he loves her? Because it might just be further trickery or convincing of oneself. I'm guessing some grand gesture. Is it going to be a boombox above the head? You know, what's it going to be?
I don't know what the that is, because I'm not you, but I'm not, until you prove it and you prove I'm the one, I don't even want to be around you, seriously. And until you do, you won't get the back. When you prove it to me, then you'll get it back. I'm not giving it.
Oh my God, this is funny.
Oh, like, is it funny?
Very funny.
Is this funny too?
Whoa. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're definitely in Angela territory at this point. Wow. Upsetting. Now, some people say, it's just a glass of water, big deal. It's not just a glass of water. It's what it symbolizes. And it's a message that if you don't do exactly what I say, if you don't have sex with me, if you don't love me, if you don't do what I tell you to do, then I'm going to resort to physical violence. It's just water this time, but next time it's going to be something else. And the time after that, it's going to be even higher. And then the fourth time, I'm going to take the glass and smash it in your face. That's what this means. And it's this sort of thing doesn't usually just go away, is the point. Because just think about for yourself out there. You're in a situation like that. You're hurt. Does it even occur to you to do that? If it does, you probably come from a family where you were modeled that behavior. I'll tell you for myself, it's literally never occurred to me in my life. I've been upset. I've been hurt just like anyone else. It's never occurred to me to do anything like this, ever. So it's indicative of something. It shows what the impulse is. Because when she does this, she probably wanted to do it other times, but didn't do things like that. Anyway, I don't know. I can't predict the future. I can't know Kim. But we use this as a jumping off point. If anyone ever did this to you, you should regard it very carefully. You shouldn't just say, well, they were upset, or, it's just water. no. You should look at it very carefully. I'm not saying you should run. I'm saying you should see it for what it might be. So, yeah, it's just pretty upsetting. Pretty upsetting. You know, I'm just reminded of when Angela would put hands on frequently. Nicole would do this as well. And you just think about the white Americanness of this as well, and just the pattern that Kim has, the entitlement, the anger, the I bought you. I mean, ugh.
I have never, in any relationship I've been in, ever resorted to throwing a drink in someone's face. But when he said, "You're funny," that triggered me.
We're hearing that she's never done that before. Somehow, it's hard to believe. It's possible. Or maybe it's just that behavior. Maybe there's been other aggressions that she's committed. Who knows? I don't know. And she's saying, but what he said, it triggered me. Okay, fine. But how about some remorse but that was completely wrong of me. Let's see if she says that.
My ex-husband would come home with lipstick on his shirt and phone numbers in his pocket, and I would find them, and they'd be like, "Ha ha ha, Kim, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, ah, ha ha, you're so funny when you're mad." And a complete disregard for my feelings, and I will not put up with that again.
Okay, so I believe her. At least, that was her experience, and that could cause a tremendous amount of triggering to one's pain. A tremendous amount of pain that would be triggered when this sort of thing happens. 100%. Totally understand that. Makes total sense. Anyone in that position would feel that way. It doesn't justify putting hands on or doing something like what she did.
To disrespect me this much.
You've disrespected me every single time.
You pour water on me. Women in my culture is 100% submissive. And this is unheard of. I don't know if it is normal in America, but in my region and the world I know, it is highly disrespect.
Yeah, it's highly disrespectful to do that, 100%. In my neck of the woods in the United States. It's interesting that he equates it with in my culture, women are 100% submissive. And I see, is this what all American women are like? Lisa was like this, Kim is like this. I mean, 2 Americans don't comprise a representative sample of a population, of course. But I would hope he would have a third option in terms of 100% submissive, not good. Aggressive and unreasonably angry, not good. Those aren't the only 2 options.
And I will not stand for it. You call me here to pour water on me?
I called you to talk.
So why are you trying to say you're taking your blinks? You're like, I have to do something before you... Okay,
prove to me you want me. How about that?
What if I didn't do what you asked me to do, then you get the necklace?
Yeah, he has every reason to be criticizing along these lines and upset. And she's starting to say, how about you prove to me that you want me? Okay, yes, that's okay. You don't have to be angry about it, but that is getting, I think, to the heart of it. Just keep on that train. Don't say, I need to see a gesture or I'm going to splash water in your face. Just say, I'm hurt and I don't know if you really love me, and I'm just looking for some indication along those lines. Now, if I were her friend, I would say you can't demand that from someone. They're either going to, you can give signals of just like, hey, sometimes I wonder if you really love me. I'm not, no pressure, but I'm unsure how much you really care about me. But, no pressure. Because if you're yelling at someone, then you don't know if their expression of love is genuine or an act of desperation.
No, I'm leaving.
Is that all the pride?
Why should I put so much thought into this if you're not doing anything?
But I did what you want.
What is your what? Oh, you did what I want. Is it what you want? Because I'm going to tell you the truth. I believe you love me because we've been talking to each other for a year, but you're not in love with me. It's in your actions. It's the way you talk to.
So on one hand, yeah, I get that. I don't think that justifies her being aggressive and hostile towards him. It justifies her being upset and hurt and disappointed. Okay. On the other hand, I'm not so sure. I mean, I think there's a possibility that Usman does genuinely, in love is maybe strong, but, wants to pursue a relationship with Kim. So on one hand, is Kim ending something that has potential, or is she just saying, gave it a try, came out here, I was hoping it was going to be one way, and yeah, we did have sex, and we're boyfriend, girlfriend, I guess, but I don't know. I'm just not getting the kind of romantic vibe I was hoping to get, so I'm just going to go home.
Hey, I don't know what the you're gonna do.
What else am I going to do?
I don't know. Figure it out. And then, how can you love me if you were with another bitch while...
I wasn't with her, Kimberly.
Oh, whatever. I don't believe it. I don't believe anything you say. I'm telling you right now. I don't believe nothing. Either you come correct with me and prove it, or I'm getting on a plane tonight. And don't think I won't do it.
It's that threatening attitude again. And she's not threatening physical harm, but she's, I'm going to be gone and you better watch out. It's that kind of, I don't know. So, I better see a big gesture. Like, I get if she's looking for an indication of loyalty and affection and love. That makes sense. But to demand one, and two, she's looking for some grand gesture, I don't think that's very advised.
Do not think I won't do it. You think my friends want me here?
Safe flight.
Wow, really? Safe flight?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I will book it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is for the best. And for Usman, he might just be like, look, I understand if she was a little hurt, but all of this, this is maybe the tip of the iceberg. Cut my losses.
The way she's acting is totally different from who I know. Everything was okay for the whole year. But within 3 days now, things have changed. So honestly, I'm not feeling the relationship anymore right now with Kimberly. Similar to my ex-wife now.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that all these people would watch this show and walk away with the lesson of video dating, or, dating over texting and video, clearly is not necessarily correlated with in-person behavior and relationship dynamics. But it happens over and over again, sometimes twice to the same individual like Usman. So maybe he's learned from his mistake of assumption there. And for him, he's like, oh, this is looking like Lisa, which it kind of is. I wouldn't put Kimberly as high on the degree of issues, but in that direction.
I'm so angry right now. I could just break everything in this room.
I get the anger, makes total sense. I get the pain and the crying, makes total sense. The urge to break things. Again, I don't know if I'm just reading into it, and the urge, everyone or a lot of people might have, but I don't know. We'll probably never find out if there's something else there. It could literally just be me cherry picking.
I lost. I feel like we both lost. We're not going to work this out. He said, have a safe flight. That was all the answer I needed.
Again, I get her pain, but that dynamic of I win, I lost is, I don't need to go back over what that looks like.
It's like he's a little part of my life. Like it's a 24-hour day thing. You know what I mean? And I've gotten so used to him calling me every morning or me calling him. The texting, everything is so much. I can't even think about it. It's going to be really hard. And I'll probably never date again, ever.
Well, now that, I mean, I wouldn't say this in the moment because she's in a lot of pain, but eventually I would say, and maybe she'll come around, this doesn't mean that you should never date again. I mean, one way of looking at it, Kim, is you essentially fell in love with what you thought to be a music artist star and had a crush on him similar to Michael Jackson, and you're from completely different cultures and da-da-da. So I wouldn't say that this is a good representation of what dating will typically look like. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.